Welcome everyone to another episode of Gripsport Latino. Today we have another honorable guest, Miss Amy Wattles. How are you today, Amy?
I'm great. I'm great. Happy to be here. Happy to be connected with you. Had some hiccups on the way, but we're good. So I'm excited to be here. Everybody, I always watch your podcasts and everybody always talks about you. And I'm like, oh, will I ever get a turn? And so here we are. So thank you.
Actually, I wanted to quote Tammy McClure because when I first chatted with her in our interview, she mentioned you.
Yeah, so I did the Super Series, and actually we did it at Amy Wattles' gym. Does that name ring a bell? Amy Wattles?
Not yet. I must do my homework. But is she into
Yeah.
strong woman, into grip?
Yeah, she's a strong woman, but she also, I think she had the axle world record for quite a long time.
Then I knew about you, but I want to hear it from you. Who is Amy Wattles?
Amy Wattles is a pretty complicated person. Many hats. I wear lots of hats in my life. Most importantly, I'm a mom and a wife. That's where all priorities start with. And then from there, I'm a special ed teacher. I am a grip athlete, pro strong woman, friend, whatever. Adventurer. I'm lots of things. Most recently, I got a two-wheel drive dirt bike.
Nice.
So that's my new adventure. So I'm hoping to add decent rider on my list of who Amy Wattles is. The first day didn't go so good, but that's pretty much who I am. I've been around a long time. A historian. That's a good one. I'm a historian of grip.
I wanted to know, Amy, about your sports career. Hey, when did you started playing sports? I mean, high school, when you were a kid. How was it?
Growing up, from the time I was little, it was always sports. Cheerleading, softball, volleyball. Into high school, that continued, and then in college, I didn't play, but I had a weightlifting class. And on my first day in the gym, I was able to squat 315. And everybody was like, ooh, that's impressive. And, I didn't know any different. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And so my husband, he was into powerlifting and kind of latched on with him. And I was always strong. My sister and I always joke about our strength. Not sure where it comes from, but so from there, I just was training. And I was pregnant with my daughter, and the principal I was working with at the time, her son was a pro strongman. And so she was like, after the baby, start training with us. And that started my strongman career. So, and I would like to say my daughter, so she was I would prop her up in a saucer while we event trained. So keep her happy. She is now a senior at University of Nevada, Las Vegas. She's on a track scholarship. So it's just when I think about things in terms of her lifetime, it blows my mind. Like I think about it like sequentially in my mind, it doesn't seem that long, but apparently it's been a hot minute. So
Perfect, Amy. So you have been into sports basically your whole life, and I want to know, how did you landed into the grip world, like into the grip practice? Because, when I knew the discipline, the most famous thing on Instagram was arm lifting, but grip sport was there in the past as well. So how did you met the discipline?
So rewind back to my training with the pro strongman. He was good friends with Jesse Morunde. Are you familiar with Jesse Morunde?
Not really. I don't know him.
Oh, okay. So he was world strongman competitor. He was he's on the teenage captains of crush list. A 3, I think, as a teenager. He closed it. He set the tone in the Pacific Northwest for grip. Aside from strongman, he was doing freaky things. I have this great picture somebody just shared with me of him closing threes in both hands.
Oh,
Yeah, super cool. Anyway, so my coach was friends with him, and the mantra whenever we trained was never ever end a training session without training grip. That was always the last thing we had to do, because at the time in strongman, gear was frowned upon. You didn't wear straps, you didn't wear a suit. Like, those were bad jujus. Either you could lift it or you couldn't. And so, you better figure out how to lift it. And so I just think over time that it helped me develop my grip, whether grip was on my radar or not. And then at the time, Jesse was doing his thing, and then we had Julie and Todd out in Oregon. They were promoting a lot of Rolling Thunder competitions. They were really early on the grip scene. She was a strong woman, so she quit competing as I came in, and so she and I never directly competed together. We've talked a few times. She was one of the first women to close the Captains of Crush 2, and at the time there weren't certification. She didn't do it with a credit card set. She just did it, whatever you call that. So there's just this long legacy of people connected and surrounding me that was like, that's kind of cool. I need to try that. And bought a Rolling Thunder while I was still doing strongman. And go figure, the events I was really good at were anything grip related. And so at some point, I reached out to Jed on the grip board. And I do have to say, you've spoken to enough female athletes that hopefully things are changing. But through the years, especially this last 20 years, as a female competitor, doors were not open to us. Like, women were not competing with men. A women's division would be added if there were enough women. So you would have to coordinate all of that. Nationals didn't happen together. It was just always, I remember one year for World's Strongest Woman, as I recall it, one girl was too big to be able to go, so a different was chosen to go. I mean, these are all ridiculous things that have happened, and times have changed. And the one person in everything who never questioned, oh, well, how many male competitors are there? Or, whatever, was Jed. Jed in Gripsport. I reached out to, like, hey, I want to come. What do you think? Just open arms, like, you bet, get out here, let's compete. And so that was really refreshing, super refreshing.
super good.
And then from there, yeah. So, and then from there was kind of, Ode was promoting the Fit Expos, LA Fit Expo, Mark Felix was there, all the big names were there. So I got to go and compete there. So I feel like I've had everybody's, there's two branches in grip here, and certainly have a fondness for each of them for different reasons. So it's been cool.
Perfect. And Amy, when was the year that you discovered like grip sport?
I'm gonna say it was before 2010. I think I might have competed at nationals 2010, 2012, maybe. And at the time I was full on strongman, and it was like, you know what, it's about time to put this to rest and see if I'm actually any good at it. 2012, I'm gonna say,
And
maybe.
excellent. And when you did your first contest of grip, which were the disciplines that you were contesting?
Oh, boy. Double overhand. I set the record there. We had a medley. That was super fun. That was super fun coming in from a strongman perspective because, you know, strongman is about time and
Yes.
split times. And so I was trying to get through it as quick as I could, rather than just mastering the implements. There was a gripper. What's the block? You know, this is where I'm really bad at grip, and it shows because I like all the details and facts are out. You know, with the block, the metal block.
Yes, like the block set close. Yeah, the with the 20mm block
Thank
set.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that, you know, I don't even remember. I don't. There were two more, and I just don't remember.
And
But sorry,
yeah.
go ahead. No, you go ahead. I'm
I
talking too much.
no problem. I mean, the idea is that we listen to you on the interview. They don't come here to listen to me. It's because of our honorable guest.
I just feel like I'm babbling, like I could talk forever about this stuff. And so that was really the turning point.
Okay.
I messaged Jen not too long ago, and I read somewhere that I was the first woman Gripsport national champion, which I didn't have to qualify. I had no competitors. I don't think I did. But figuratively, I think that that was an important time. But part of me wonders if maybe there was somebody before me. So I don't want to discredit them. But that was really an important time because people don't realize Iron Mind didn't have the women's records for anything. I think we had the Rolling Thunder. And of course, I followed that. I was always interested in that. Double Overhand didn't exist, Little Big Horn Hub. And so I did well enough, I think, at Gripsport that at that point, Iron Mind was willing to start setting women's standards. And so I went to the Fit Expo, had to have 3 female competitors to have a class. So I rounded up my strong woman friends and they all competed just to be able to do this, recognizing, you know, that's kind of an important step forward for the women. And so I did that. I competed a few times, set a lot of the inaugural records. And really for me, it was more about that. My time in grip, I've always said, well, we'll see if I'm any good because I don't, you know, I never had competitors. So time would tell if it was actually a good mark or not. So it's fun to see now, especially at the Arnold. Holy cow, 28 women. Like, what just happened here? That's fantastic. It's so nice to see things change. Ricardo has really done great things getting women involved and participating, not just Ricardo, but everybody. It's cool to see.
Yes. I am curious, Amy, because well, when I opened the question box, there were many questions, and one of them mentioned about like a period of like you not being like into the grip scene, like not competing. I wanted to know what happened to your grip training during that time, like being like on the backstage, so to speak.
So, confession, grip has always been the secondary thing in my athletics. I never felt like I was willing to give up strongman enough for grip, because my ultimate goal was always to win my pro card in strongman. And it took, well, my son was 16. So it took that many years for the women's pro division to come around. And I won my pro card. And that was my only goal. And so I did, and I stopped competing. Um, and I would cycle in and out. My friend Danny, she went to Russia. She would train with me. We'd be like, yeah, let's get back into it. Cycle around for about 8 weeks and be like, all right. And somebody would have something going on, so we stopped. And so over that period up until this year, I legitimately, oh, I lost you.
I can
Hold on.
still I can still hear you and see you.
Okay, well, I don't like not seeing you, so.
Oh.
Oh no, am I still here?
Yes, you're still here. Can you see me?
Now I
Oh,
can. Sorry, I have the mouse on my thigh and I pressed it. Let me move it. So I won my pro card and I just went off. I'm like, I'm done. Like, I needed time. And literally, other than those little things that I would cycle in and out and try some grip stuff, I wasn't training and had no motivation to train whatsoever. And a couple of years ago, Jen reached out to me and she's like, "Hey, can we promote a competition in your gym?" And I'm like, okay. So she did, and it was so nice to connect with her and Tammy and to, have somebody encouraging me. And at that point, Tammy left one of her Saxon bars here. And I remember her interview, I think it was with you, where she was talking about, I left a Saxon bar there for Amy. She's probably training it.
yes.
No, no, it did nothing but collect dust. And so I just reached a point where my kids are phenomenal. Like they are high achievers, very competitive at the tops of their games. And it's not by accident that they're there, right? Like they lead by example. We raise them with grit and determination and all these wonderful things. But now they were old enough and they're like, really? You're like literally not doing anything. Where I went from 100 to 0 like that. And so I just felt like, okay, it's time to remind them where the genetics came from, And so I started competing for strongman games last year. I'm like, okay, I'll come back and do that with my friend Lacey. And I had a really bad back injury. I was fighting that, trying to come back and be somewhat competitive within 5 months. I think this was June and I couldn't even bend over without pain. And the competition was in December. So I was training and I made really good progress. And then come about November, I'm like, it's not realistic. I'm not going to show up to lose. Like, not that I would have lost, but I wasn't at my best. I guess I should say that. And so at that point, it was early November, I think, and then I switched back to grip. So for the Arnold, I was like, oh, that looks fun. That was one thing that's always been on my bucket list. Like the men at the Arnold always had Mighty Mitts. That was always on my list of things I wanted to do. And, the women weren't included, like all two of us. And so then being on the main stage with Arnold, I saw that Ricardo had posted it, and I was like, okay, that's one of my bucket list items. Count me in. So I messaged Jen, Jen, and I'm like, all right, it's time for you to do some programming for me. And at that point, we had 7 training weeks to get it together for the Arnold. So I'm pleased with that, obviously not where I needed to be, but 7 weeks, close enough. So now I think maybe I'll stick around a little longer. It's been fun. It's nice having Tammy around, and Jen and Sarah. They're super supportive. All the women are, but having somebody locally to connect with makes all the difference.
I wanted to know how did you met Jen and Tammy? Did you knew them before, like being into grip, or how was it?
No, Jen just sent me an email from England, like, hey, I'm from Idaho. I'm going to be in Idaho, in her aggressive Jen voice that we love. And she's like, what do you think about promoting a competition at your gym? I'm like, okay, sure. So that's how we met. She put on the competition. I didn't compete. I didn't want to make a fool of myself. So anyway, so that started it all again.
Perfect. And Amy, do you have grip goals for this year? Any competition that you would like to participate, or any record that you would like to break?
No. So going to the Arnold, so I have this 5-year gap in training, right? And Jed was pretty upfront. He's like, your conditioning is going to be what kills you. And then that's what killed me. I did good, but I didn't know where to come in at because it had been so long. So one of my goals going into that was a 320 rogue double overhand. And I fell way short. I think 303. I was like a couple inches away from lockout. So that was super frustrating. So I don't know. That would be cool to hit that and make that on the goal again. I've never, these events, for as long as I've been in grip, these are all brand new things to me. So I'm learning as I go. I go to Tammy's house and rummage through all her stuff. And I'm like, what's this one called? And she's like, the Napalm Nightmare, whatever. Have you ever done it? Nope. And so it's been fun to, that she has a lot more stuff than I do and to try it out. So coming up so I'm putting on the Super Series this month. 2-inch Country Crush, right? I never did that before. Hub, that's fine. And then the Saxon is, I should have started training way back when Jamie left the bar here, because maybe I'd do better. I don't know. I was killing it. I was doing so good at the Arnold. Like, one of the things that was super frustrating is I was out of the groove of competing. I'm a good competitor and I know how to compete. But I wasn't focused, and I had never registered. I've never competed with 28 women. That, I pulled maybe 175 warm up and the equipment was gone.
Oh.
And they started the competition. So I didn't get any of, and from that time till I was actually on stage, it was almost a good hour, I would say.
Oh.
So it was tough. I wasted a lot of energy there, where I know 265 is always the token warm up, pick it up, go, and then build from there. And I just took too many warm ups. And then Saxon, I didn't even see the Saxon before we got on stage, so I didn't even know what bar we were using.
Ooh.
Again, I should have paid closer attention, but I didn't. But there was no equipment back there. So I took way too many attempts. I remember at one time Ricardo was like, "Oh, she's gonna break the record on this," because it was flying up so good. But I just took, between the conditioning and the amount of attempts I had to take, it just wasn't happening. So back to goals. I don't know. I'll let you know
That's
when I
perfect.
come up with one.
Amy, I want to go to the questions from the audience, starting with Tammy.
Oh boy. Hi, Tammy.
Tammy would like to know, in Amy's history of strength sports, who has been the top advocates of females in these sports, in her opinion?
In grip?
Let's say grip, yes. Or in
Top.
strong woman.
I don't think there was any central figure. We were all united with, this is kind of bogus. Like, this should be better. And, equally putting demands on, and working collectively to do that. The women at the Arnold, I remember that first year I qualified for that. I didn't go. But it's, just looking back, it's small incremental things. So it's really cool to see these women now with opportunities that they have, especially through Giants Live and, all these cool competitions that we just never had. So it's cool. Good for them. It's about time. And they're killing it and they're doing good. But it was the voice of many, lots of complaining and nagging and, getting in touch with people. Why are the women not here? What do we need to do to make this happen? So, but I do have to say, as far as people who motivated me, Julie from Oregon, again, she was doing all the Rolling Thunder stuff. And then when Adrian Wilson closed the two, I was like, okay, now it's time. Thanks for doing that, and drawing attention to that, because she's such a phenomenal athlete and phenomenal person, that it took somebody, I think, of her caliber and reputation to really draw people in and realize, grip does involve women too. So
Actually, since you're, well, we have been speaking that grip has been like a second priority for you. And considering that you have been into closing some grippers, I remember that you certified recently with Tammy on the Crush to Dust, right?
yep.
I wanted to know what motivated you to do that certification. And my congratulations, by the way, because it's a great inspiration for the world that you and Tammy are doing for female athletes.
Thank you. That was one of those when the men's was unveiled. I was around then, like, hey, what about the women? And asking the question. And there just wasn't enough. As a business owner, I can totally respect that. Like, you have costs and things you have to cover anytime you expand something. So I totally respect that about Iron Mind and Randall. And he's been nothing but phenomenal. Anyway, so through the years, every now and then I'd get in touch, like, hey, when you adding the women? I never got the answer I wanted. And then after the Arnold, so Jen and I were at breakfast at the Arnold, and and Kathy, and Tammy was back sleeping, just saying. We were talking about women's athletics, and I said there were two things that still needed to happen for there to be equity between grip with women. I said that was one of them. Was getting the Crush to Dust for women. And truthfully, I forgot what the second one was. So Jen will have to remind me, because I'm going to get started on that next. Anyway, after the Arnold, I emailed Randall and I'm like, look, it's time. Like 28 women, there's a demand out there. And he was totally supportive. And I know lots of women have put pressure on him over the years. So it was kind of cool. So Tammy and I was like at my work computer, like refreshing, like, when are these numbers going to show? When are these numbers going to show? And then they showed up and I'm like, perfect. Tammy, I'll be at your house today. So it was fun. And she killed it, because I don't think she had ever closed a grouper before. So she just stepped right up, and Tammy's got that dog in her, and she knows how to fight, and she pulled it out. She did good.
Perfect. Super inspirational. I want to go.
Oh, I do want to say though, as far as that goes, I did add a little after that, like, hey, let me know when the Women's Plus certification is coming, because some of us want to do that. How the men have the plus, the Crush to Dust Plus. We need a Crush to Dust Plus for women's too. Just saying.
We will make sure that that becomes a thing with the Goddesses of Grip. Let's ask for it, like for the higher level, another like level of difficulty. You can. I am super sure that you both can do it. You and Tammy.
Mm-hmm.
Give me one. Cool. I have to. Well, the second from Tammy. Amy seems so calm and collected when she competes, but I want to know what's really going on in Amy's head.
I swear a lot in my head. I'm talking trash to the bar, or, I'm swearing. There's a whole lot. I do look calm and collected, but if what was going on in my head came out, it would not be school appropriate. That's funny. Which is funny. Last week at work, somebody played a joke on me about a meeting on the last day of school, and it upset me. So I ran out of my classroom and went to other teachers' rooms, like, what just happened? And they're all like, holy cow, like, what is this? And they're like, it's a joke, it's a joke, it's a joke. But man, you are scary. Like, they've worked with me for 7 years, and that's the first time they ever got that bird's eye view into what that intensity and that, what's going on in my head. I hide it pretty well. There's a lot. You might think I'm yawning or sleeping up at the bar. There's a lot going on. Sorry. So now my coworkers are scared of me.
We have another from Tammy. She wants to know, with Amy's history of training over many years, has she found any tools or tips that has stayed true over the years?
That's a good one. I think the biggest one for me has been to listen to my body, and just that's been my biggest thing. If I walked away, sometimes I would take 9 months or a year off, and it was just that's what my body needed, and I needed that break. And through that process, I've avoided any significant injuries. I'm very fortunate as far as that goes. People suffer serious injuries, and I'm just never willing to go to those levels. Like, I want to be old and enjoy my grandchildren without, being all crooked and sore. I think that we need to respect our bodies and listen to what our body's telling us and about our training. And a lot of the training I do is just intuitive. If it feels like a good day, that's what I'm doing. That's the best I got for you, Tam Tam.
By the way, Amy, how do you structure like your week in training? Do you train every day of the week, or do you train like whenever it feels good to do it? How do you structure it?
I'm just 3 days a week. I have, an overhead day, deadlift day, squat day. Squat day by default tends to be more events. So that would be more of a heavier grouper training day. But I'll throw in a few things after my regular training as far as grip goes. I do need to add more. I think, the biggest thing for me anyway, training grippers, what zaps me. And so training strongman was always really hard with finding that balance. When grippers are not part of it, it's like, oh, this is so much easier, that now I need to step it up more. Definitely do more.
Perfect. And the last one from Tammy. Does Amy want to see Gripsport grow or stay small and niche?
Grow. For sure, grow. It's one of those, it's what strongman used to be, like, either you can do it or you can't. And grip is one of those, are your meat hooks hanging in there that day for you to lift this stuff up or not? And it's so pure in my mind, there's no mystery, there's no games, there's no hiding if you can do something or not. And I think that people love to see people push things as far as they can. And I think that it's also a sport that attracts a lot of different individuals from a lot of different backgrounds, that everybody brings a different perspective and different experience. So I think it would be super cool for it to continue to grow. I think that, Ricardo really did a phenomenal job getting it there at the Arnold. One of the thoughts I have about grip is that we hide in a dirty, chalky gym and have competitions, and it's like the secret society. And we need to get out in the community more, go do cool shows, like go promote somewhere fun and alongside a strongman competition or whatever, to get more people involved. I know when I was promoting some strongman shows, I was running the Crush to Dust challenge during intermission. Trying to incorporate the grip, but people love, leave something heavy there, and they're just naturally gonna walk up to it like, hey, can I do this? And more often than not, I think people can, and so I would love to see it grow.
Excellent. I have a question from a great athlete from Australia. His Instagram is pinch by pinch. His name is Isaac Pitt. I am not sure if you know him, but he's super nice, and he's organizing the Australian Championship this June 1st. So
Oh, cool.
he wants to know, Amy, would you prefer separate events for women in group competition? In example, 2-inch rolling handle instead of 2.375, for example, or narrower pinch blocks, or everyone lifts the same?
Everybody lifts the same. I think in
Yes.
strongman, we had the 8-inch diameter logs, the 9-inch diameter logs, the 10-inch, whatever. Those are just distractions for, what the meat and potatoes of what log is. It's 12-inch log. Making it easier isn't helping anybody. I don't feel like.
Perfect. And the second question from Isaac. I mean, I think you must get this question a lot, especially these days, but how can we get more women to compete? He wants to know.
I think that women in my time are becoming more comfortable in the gym. Like, I never wanted to train in a gym because I just couldn't stand the men and, telling me how smart they were, how not of a great lifter I was. And it's funny talking to my daughter. I think she experiences that. So that's sad. But I think that women are more comfortable in the gym, more comfortable asserting themselves in the gym. And I think just by that process, more women are coming to grip and being exposed to it. And grip, okay, so Rogue had Rogue has these challenges. Are you familiar with all the different challenges they have?
I mean, they have many during the year. Sometimes they are like cleaning a barbell or using the Rogue grandfather clock system. Yes, I have seen them running them. Yes.
Okay. So Tammy is working hard she's like
Yeah.
on every challenge. She's killing it. But they had the front hold, 35-pound dumbbell.
Okay.
Right. So I was like, oh, I think the prize is worth $500, $1,000, $1,500. And I'm like, oh, cool, I'll try that. But I regret this. I only did it once. I waited till the very end and I did it, and I had 53 seconds.
Whoa.
And yeah, and not bad for not training, right? Or trying it before then. So at that point, I was tied. I was in a 3-way tie, and it came down to body weight. So there was a girl who held for a minute. This does have a point, stick with me. There was a girl who held for a minute, and then the 3-way tie of us all at 53 seconds.
Oh.
Yeah, and then from there it kind of declined. Moral of the story is, okay, so the girl that beat me out, you had rules to follow and whatever. The girl who tied was in front of me based on self-reported body weight. She made the Olympics, so I can swallow that bitter pill. I can handle that. But moral of the story is Rogue has done this phenomenal job. The first place girl was some woman in Europe somewhere, I don't know, a little bitty thing, and then there's me, and then there's Mary, who, she does weightlifting, and there's something about grip that crosses over every discipline. There's something that, people are able to do it. It's not rocket science. And people are willing to do it, and they're willing to try, where I think like with strongman or some of the powerlifting, like that's not me, that's not for me. Picking up a dumbbell in a gym is easy. So I think the more diversified the women are and the more they're connected with one another, hopefully we see those things increase. I think the conversations I read have definitely changed about women. For 15 years was always appearance based, or never the feat of what the woman accomplished. So it's cool to see those dialogues changing. And hopefully, as those dialogues continue to change, more women are more comfortable.
Perfect. We have questions from women from Australia. Sarah Rodwell. Do you know Sarah?
Hey, I do. Sarah's all jacked and tan. Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's super strong. I'd love to invite her to the show in the future as well. So,
Awesome.
yes. So Sarah wants to know, what was the greatest challenge she faced when first starting out in strength sports and lifting?
My biggest challenge was being a mom first. I mean, like, that is always my bottom line, is mom first, wife first. Those are my priorities in any decision I make for myself, competitively or athletically, is below that. So it's always trying to find that balance of keeping myself occupied and engaged and competitive and still being a mom, you know what I mean? And if it meant bringing my daughter to event training, and she was having the time of her life, that's what it was. And I also had a partner who was willing to take the kids for 3 hours on a Saturday so I could go do what I wanted to do. Repeat the question. I just got lost.
Well, the question was, what was the greatest challenge you faced when starting out on strength sports and lifting?
Balancing all the expectations that people have for women, you know, having a career, having a family, having all those different things. I do remember one time, one of my principals, it was early in my strongman career, and he said it just, he was a great guy. He was joking, and he said, I was talking about a competition or something. He's like, oh, we don't need to talk about that. I was like, really? We don't? Because I feel like we do. And like, I always gave him a hard time about that. But that was, really the perception at the time was just different. So do you balance all the hats you have to. And don't feel bad if you drop a few along the way. They'll survive. You can pick it up, dust it off, and love it back into its proper shape.
Perfect. Sarah also wants to know, what is your proudest achievement?
My kids, hands down, like, my athletic career and my marriage is all, they're a product of that. They are a product of the opportunities and the sweat and the tears and the sacrifices. And, like I said, throughout their life, from the moment my daughter was born, training was what we did. And every Saturday, the kids were out there with us, event training. And then along the way, one of the things I'm really proud of, I don't know if are you familiar with Elite FTS?
Yes, I know it because I used to do powerlifting, so I am familiar with them. Yes.
Okay, so I don't know if you know, I was one of their original sponsored strongman athletes.
Whoa, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I think that was about 2012, 2010 to 2015, probably. Dave diversified and brought on strongmen, and I was the first strong woman. And that was another culminating turning point in our life. Like, social media didn't really exist then. And so you had to be vetted on what kind of person are you? Are you a decent person? How are you as a competitor? And fortunately, they welcomed me to the team, and I wrote articles and had a training log and all of that. But through that opportunity, then, so my athletics got me that opportunity. With that opportunity, I had access to the best and the best in the industry, which then put us in a position to be able to open our facility, right? And this has been open 12 years now. And then from there, that put us in a position to be able to support the kids with their athletics and the things that they're doing. So when I say that, it's just it's been a long process. So my athletics is how we got here, I feel like. So
Excellent. Sarah also wants to know, do you have any particular goals left or set in grip lifting that you want to achieve?
I got the 2.5. So I certified on the 2, and I've closed the 2.5. And I've had several failed attempts at that. I just, they were bad days and couldn't certify. So that one still kind of lingers out there in my mind of something that maybe I should come back to. And then the silver bullet 3.5, I was working towards being able to do that. And I
Whoa,
was able to get the gripper closed around the silver bullet. And that was, kind of where I left off. So maybe I'll come back to those. I thought that would be pretty cool to be able to do a 3.5. But in the process of, these, how arm lifting does the scoring on that event, my silver bullet record, I think it's like 10 or 12 years old. There's not an incentive to break it other than just to break it, and I hope somebody does, because once the women hit closer to that 1 minute mark, then on par with what the expectation was for the men, then they'll increase that gripper up higher. So, yeah, probably gripper related.
perfect. And Sarah wants to know also, what is your top 2 movements for improving grip strength?
Lots of deadlifts, double overhand, everything. I just, whatever, I just believe in getting strong and being strong, and whatever works your grip and whatever keeps you engaged in training, then you do it. You know, whether it's sandbag rows, sandbag loads, you're working things. Not necessarily implement specific, but I think that's the best grip training there is just a solid, beefy, all around grip.
Perfect. It's super similar to what Jet Johnson said back in the day when I interviewed him. Like just get stronger in what you do, and strong is strong. So that's it. And this is an interesting one from Sarah. From what she knows now in lifting and strength, would she change anything she's done in the past?
No.
No
It's been a
regrets.
fun ride. No regrets. No regrets.
Super
it's been a
cool.
good ride.
Excellent. I want to, let's say, bring the intensity up because I have 3 questions from Jen Tivenham.
All right, Jen.
Jen wants to know what has been your favorite competition?
My favorite competition was the arm lifting competition, was the Fit Expo. Don't have a year on that one. I was setting the silver bullet record, and out of my eyes, there was Mark Felix there and Mike Burke, and they were cheering for me. And as I was doing the silver bullet, and again, contextually at the time, in strong women, strong men, we didn't have access to the world level competitors, so to be with them, like Mark Felix, I followed his grip stuff forever. It was like, that's cool. That's super cool. So that one, as far as grip goes, is definitely my favorite memory.
And also, Jen wants to know what's your favorite and least favorite grip discipline?
I'm not a fan of this whole Saxon bar thing. It just feels weird to me. That and okay, confession time. I feel kind of dumb in grip because there's a lot of things that I'm like, what is that? I don't even know what that event is. And there's so many different things. And that I haven't tried. So, I have my meat and potato lifts and whatever. So I'm sure there's those things I haven't tried are I need to branch out and explore more at all the different group implements. I'll go to Tammy's next week.
And,
See what else she's got for me.
yes, and I know Tammy has been buying new equipment, so maybe you can try the finish ball because she bought one recently.
I saw that. I saw she was that you?
No, it was, I think she got that from Zach. So from Zach Mullins.
Okay. Yeah. That's funny. I like Tammy's, her dumbbell. What's it, Mel? I think. I love training with Tammy because like she's got such freakish grip strength. Um, and I come from the just beef lift it kind of perspective, and so so my ego sometimes is like, Tammy's not gonna beat me at that, and she has this dumbbell, and sometimes it's hard. I mean, she's legit, she's phenomenal, and she had her dumbbell over there, and I was like, all right, I've seen Tammy with videos on it. And I like just reached down and picked it up and put it down, and I might have tweaked my back, and she's like, you're not warming up? And I'm like, no, like who warms up? She doesn't know the anguish that went on inside to make sure I was able to lift that up. So she didn't show me up on that.
Yes. And speaking about Tammy, Jen wants to know if Tammy has relit your fire for grip.
Yes. Her and Jen and Sarah, absolutely. Yes. Thank you, ladies. This is like the longest I've ever trained grip, so consistently. So we'll see. That's what I'm excited about is, I think sometimes maybe I shortchanged myself. And Sarah's a great testament of, how do you get good at something? It's consistency over time. It's not rocket science, right? Like the more you do something, the better you get. And so Sarah has done a really phenomenal job as far as demonstrating that and progressing and showing these numbers and, whatever. So if I hope to close the gap with us, I need to be more consistent for sure.
Excellent. There's a question from Hannah Lewandowski. She would like to know what is your favorite thing about grip?
My favorite thing about grip is that it doesn't kill you.
They were not. They disagree with what you said.
Yikes. What was the question? Oh.
Your favorite thing
about grip?
Yes.
Hang on. My husband came into the gym and brought the dog. My favorite thing about grip is that anybody can do it, and that I see what's Dan out of California and stuff. He's got the older ladies out there doing it, training, getting stronger. So from a quality of life perspective, that's phenomenal for them. Anybody can do it, from a kid on down. And they should, right? Like people should be active and they should find something that keeps them going back to the gym and training and striving and moving forward, whether it's, how much you can lift on a rolling thunder or how much you can deadlift, whatever it is.
Perfect. And to end with the question from the audience, I have a questions from Sarah Chapello.
Oh, hi, Sarah.
Sarah says, lifting alongside you at the Arnold was a highlight for my lifting career. What was your favorite thing about competing there?
At the Arnold?
Yes.
My favorite thing was competing with you, Sarah. Having somebody to keep me motivated and keep you and Tammy moving forward and, finding that competitiveness again. For grip, it's always been like, oh, okay, that was cool, nice, cool, got that record or whatever. But it's hard to keep engaged with that. And maybe, that's, like I said, grip was always my secondary thing. So that's my poor mentality, I guess. So to have Sarah and Tammy there with, oh, okay. Now I'm in. All right. All right. All right, Sarah. Now it's and I'll be swearing at you in my head at the next competition. But you're so nice that it's hard to do.
There's a second question from Sarah. She wants to know. She wants to know what are the biggest things that change in the grip world during your hiatus.
That there's female competitors. And arm lifting has been a huge shift. I more so, in my mind, the grip sport is really the purists and the people who are, taking all the different hand sizes and all of that stuff into consideration and, leveling the playing field as far as implements and all of that go. And they're a very smart bunch, far smarter than me. And sometimes arm lifting to me feels like easy. And I know people are like, it's not that. These are the implements. This is the measurement. It's not rocket science. In my mind, it is rocket science. I like to just lift heavy stuff and without analyzing it, without, getting into the mental exercises and stuff. And I feel like sometimes arm lifting levels the playing field there. You know what I mean? A few implements and pick it up and do it. So the coolest part. I still love Gripsport. I love what it does. I'm still learning all the implements and all the different things. But I think that arm lifting has really captured an audience that's been cool to watch, for sure.
Perfect. I forgot to put it in my notes, but there's a question from Goddesses of Grip. I don't know who is behind Goddesses of Grip, but but they want to know. It's a mystery, yes. They want to know what is.
To you it is, but
to me it is, yeah. To me it is. Let's keep it a mystery, so it's still like interesting and like a secret identity of a superhero. So
it's very mysterious, yes.
Yes, and they want to know what is one thing in her career she could have done differently.
So one thing, when I went to the Arnold, Ricardo said to me, "Oh, you showed up. I didn't think you were going to show up." Because I am known for not showing up to competitions.
Oh,
Like to Russia, me and Danny, and we're headed to Russia, for grip. And my mom was sick, and it just didn't feel right. Like whatever, I needed to be with my mom. So I took my flight to Chicago, and Danny continued on to Russia, and I stayed in Chicago,
oh,
which was so things I could do again. It's kind of a back or forth. I make my choices. My family is our priority, but sometimes, that would have been cool to go to Russia. That would have been cool to compete with Danny. But you make the best choice you can at the time. Showing up more consistently at competitions. I was invited to Finland. I don't remember. That was another one I backed out of because I was at the airport. Um, there was a major snowstorm, and the way it was going to go down with the timing of the snow. And by the time I got there, off the travel for 16 hours and show up at the
oh.
competition to compete. And in my mind, it's like, that's not even worth it. Like, so I didn't go. So stuff like that, probably.
Okay, and the last question from Goddesses of Grip is: any regrets during a competition that haunt her?
In grip, no, because either you can do it or you can't do it, right? Like it takes all the brain work out of it. Your body has a magical way of saying, not today. So you can't will that grip, strongman, you can will, you can, fight through things. So no.
Perfect. Amy, so we are about to close the interview. So I wanted to know if you have any question for Gripsport Latino or any question for me.
Yeah, so explain this training in the park thing you got going on. It looks like a park.
In the park, yes. The thing is, it's that I have my calibrated plates and all the grip collection in at home, but I live in a small apartment with my wife, and there are two important things to mention. I don't think my wife would be happy to have like 10 dudes on a Saturday morning like spreading chalk and cursing and laughing and screaming at home when I don't know, we should be like doing like our lunch or cleaning the house or whatever. That's the first reason. And the second reason is that if they see us in a park lifting and having the implements and all the tools, they will think, oh, can I try? And that's how many people got into grip here in Chile. It's like watching us in the park lifting, and they are like, they always stand like by us, and they are like watching. And we always say, hey, come, try, you're welcome. And they try it. And they are like, oh, do you have any competitions? When do you do your sessions? And I think I did like one or two sessions that were like really they attracted new people that were super interested. So once we got that group, like the Gripsport Latino team, I asked them, where do you guys prefer to lift? Like in a park or in a closed gym? And we will have to pay for the gym compared to doing it in a park, because there are like a couple of let's say counties here in Chile that have public gyms, like with squat racks and calisthenics parks and climbing boulders. So you can go there and just do your lifts. So we were like speaking, and we were like, let's keep doing like the park gatherings, and new people can come. People who reach me on Instagram can come and train with us, and it's a super cool thing. And the other good thing is that when I upload stories about the gatherings on the parks, the views go like how can I say it? Like through the roof. It's like many interactions, many likes, and many like, oh, this is super cool, because many people can do a grip sport just in their home gyms, and nowhere near them can like a in example. I can't remember the name. Maybe it was Dylan, the Wolf of Kurdistan. I think he does the training on their home gym. Fits of Alex as well, but he has no like neighbors that can do the training with them, or people that are interested. I don't know. It's like a good way to make grip like more popular here in Chile. That's one of my missions, because people see the things, and when they try it, they always enjoy it. There has never happened that someone grabbed the Rolling Thunder or any pinch block, and they say, "Oh, this is like not fun. I am not doing this any like ever." No, that never happens. It's like, "Oh, I want to do it again. Sounds super cool. I hope to see you again training and train with you guys." And so that's it. That was like the idea, and so far it has been working. So
That's cool. It's super fun to see. And like we talked about, getting out of the dirty, chalky gym and seeing the sunlight and seeing people and bringing grip. So that's really cool when I see that. It's like, oh, good for him. So when is the next competition you're promoting?
I want to mention that the next thing that I am promoting, it's the challenge from Elite Grip Society. I don't know if you're familiar with that community, but one of my main motivations to invest in grip implements, it's to promote a contest and do the online challenges. And I happen to have the Naples Nightmare. I have a whole set of calibrated grippers, and I have the Iron Mind Hub. So
Awesome.
I spoke with the Elite Grip Society mystery person, and I was like, hey, I don't have the Saxon bar, but can I do just the other three things? And he was like, sure, no problem. So in June 8th, I am going to promote that challenge. Then I hope to do like the Gripsport Latino challenge with our own equipment. I happen to have here one of our creations. It's a 50 millimeter block. So we are going to make a leaderboard on who lifts more with this block, and with our own version of the rolling handle, and with the grippers doing the block set. And
Oh, that's awesome.
and competition itself, I am going to do the Gripsport Latino Classic, like the Arnold Classic, but Gripsport Latino Classic. And we are going to have a pinch block, a rolling handle, a finish ball, and a vertical bar. So it's like the four most popular movements in grip. So that's one. And this year, I hope to be the host of, I am going to host the King Kong because
Oh, right on.
I already paid for that, so I am hosting it, the King Kong, and I hope to do a last competition on December. So I hope to. My plan is to do a lot of activity this year. I already hosted one competition in April, and I had one female competitor, a friend of mine who is into powerlifting. She holds the bench press record as she was a junior in 2017, and she still has that record on bench press. So she's super into strength sports, and I asked her, "Would you join us on a group sport competition?" She never tried any grip tool before, but she was bring it on. Let's do it. So
That's awesome.
so I expect to bring in more women here into the podiums, because I know there's a lot of talent, but they just need a stage to show it. So I hope to bring like how can I say it, a welcoming space for female athletes and for all athletes, because well, it happens in strength sport that some things sometimes they are not too welcoming with the new people on and with novices, and it's like, can you lift certain amount of weight, and if they don't, it's like, don't come here because you're weak. And I don't like that attitude. So I firmly believe that all of us can improve a lot in our physical performance. So I like to transform people and bring out like the best version of themselves, uh, independent of which is like their base preparation. So I hope to make this event super welcoming from for anyone who wants to join us. And that's pretty much my project like for this year. I was talking to a friend yesterday, like they always ask me, oh, what would you like to do in 5 more years, in 2 more years? And I am like, I don't know, I am living the present. I want to do like this in the next 12 months. Let's see how it works. And if it's like, if people want more grip from Gripsport Latino, I am going to give them all. And if they don't want to, it's like, okay, I will stop doing all the events, but I will keep competing myself. Like if I can do the King Kong for myself, I'm going to do it, because I have like a lot of things that I want to achieve in the future. But so far, there's many people that wants to like walk with me in hell through grip. So has been like quite a fun ride, you know.
Oh, that's fantastic. What is the, sorry, I have this cough. What is the strongman scene like out there?
I mean, here in Chile, I think there has been one or two athletes that have gone to international competitions. But I mean, let me give you powerlifting numbers, because I am more familiar with them. I think in South America, no one has lifted 400 kilograms on deadlift, and
Whoa.
no one has lifted like 300 kilo bench press yet. So
Wow.
I think we are like a little
So
bit.
that's your next goal?
No, mine not.
Sorry.
I think my next goal, I hope to reach like decent numbers in powerlifting. I used to compete in powerlifting, but I had like a really long hiatus. But yeah, I think in strength sports we have like a great gap to shorten, to be like with like in a level of the strength sports in the US. In example, I know many people into grip that can lift 300 kilograms on deadlift without being a powerlifting specialist. And here on the IPF in Chile, there's people training deadlift all the week, and they haven't reached the 300 kilo mark. There are like 6 competitors here in Chile that have lifted more than 300. So strength sport is relatively new here in Chile. I mean, back in the day in 2012, there were no competitions here in Chile. And forget about grip. I think the first competition was in 2020 or 2021. But yes, it's like we are like pushing it to make the greatest numbers. But yes, there is some good people in strongman these days. I am not like following them like with a close eye, but I know there's some strong people and there are resources. That brand SBD is here in Chile, so they are pushing it as well.
One of the strongman competitions I promoted, I had silver bullet hold for
Whoa.
time, and they went head to head. That was cool. That's why I was asking. Like, you should start integrating some group events into what they're doing. Like the strongman in me, the women's pressing. What, the women are in the 300 pounds now pressing. Um, like they're farmers. They're still. I was just looking at a nationals. The women are carrying 230 a hand, and it's like at this stage of the game, we should be at like 330, 350. Like we're well past this. You know what I mean? Um, so it would be fun for you to cross over and bring some grip to strongman.
Yes, I will have
Do
to
some
reach.
double overhand.
Yes, I want to reach like some disciplines because I used to do calisthenics and I have many friends into climbing. So I had the opportunity to reach those disciplines and arm wrestling as well because many calisthenics athletes have been like transitioning to arm wrestling. So I am taking that challenge to like reach some strongman competitors to do some grip challenges.
Yeah, that would be a cool event in a competition, is having a group medley, as one of the 5 events. Or, I mean, there's all kinds of things you could do, but maybe they'll love it too then. That's the
Yes.
secret mission.
Yes, definitely. Amy, the last words belong to you. Which final message would you like to share with all our listeners?
Um, thank you. Thank you. Oh, this is where it gets snappy. Thank you for just being a community that welcomes people and respects people and values what people are doing, and regardless of where their ability is, where their level is, and for always encouraging people to do more and push more. Thank you to the women and the people who submitted questions. I appreciate them taking time to hear what I have to say. I've become one of those like grumpy old people of get off my lawn kind of deal. I'm 59. I'm 51 now, and I still feel like I'm 20, but like I said, as we're going through things, it's like, oh my God, 20 years just passed, and what happened? So thank you for listening to me just kind of ramble about, well, back in my day, this is what we did. I just really have nothing but positive things to say of the group community. I've always felt like it's so welcoming and so supportive. And it doesn't go unnoticed, from people taking time to send in questions or to reach out and have a conversation. I appreciate it. And it's those connections that make people want to stay and help the sport grow.
Perfect.
And thank you too.
Of
Thank
course.
you, thank you.
Of course, it was an honor to me to be able to interview you and to know a little more about your history. So I invite everyone to listen all the episodes like that I did in the past, and stay tuned for next episodes of Gripsport Latino. And thank you, Amy, again. And I hope we met in person someday in Idaho, I hope, or in the Arnold or in any competition. So thank you
At the
again.
Arnold. You need
Yes,
to be at the Arnold. Yes.
I hope
Okay.
so.
Thank you so much.